Hi, this is Chris German from the Apartment Dealer, and today I have with me our great client, Esther. She and her husband recently sold a 13-unit property here in the city of Baldwin Park, and I thought I'd have her sit with us, share a little bit of her story with you, and just the ins and outs of what it is to be an investor here local in the San Gabriel Valley. So, of course, I mentioned you recently sold, but take us back. So I know that you mentioned your family were investors in the East Los Angeles area originally. So how did that all come to be?
That was in the late 70s, and they wanted to invest. And so they were told to buy little apartments in East LA. And they were doing what it's called today flipping. They'd get it, clean them up, take the graffiti off, keep them for a little bit, and then sell them to buy more apartments, bigger apartments. And that's how it rolled. They kept on doing it. I was there as a little kid helping them. And it just happened, and it just got to the point where they had enough. They sold it, and they said, we're going to buy, these apartments in Baldwin Park. And that was a huge one. That was like the biggest property. And that was it. My dad had said that was going to take care of us. And it did.
Wow. And I imagine your mother and father came from modest means. They probably just had a few nickels to rub together and just bootstrapped it in the beginning.
Yep. Mom's a nurse, and my dad was maintenance mechanic and machinist. And they just did what they had to do. They got knowledge. They spoke to all the people that had the knowledge. They spoke to other property owners. How do you make the money? How do you do it? To impart knowledge, just to keep going.
And so then when I come on the scene, originally I was speaking to your mother at the time for years. And she was more on the long-term hold. And obviously she held it. It's seen her through her life. You inherit the property. And so what was that transition like now from daughter, now you become full-time owner?
Well, I had been helping my mom manage the property. So I knew what was entailing in my job with that. And it was just, I didn't think about what would happen after my mom. It was just keep going. But I knew someday I was like, I don't want to be an apartment owner any longer. It wasn't my thing.
Sure. Well, and you did have, you sold a great apartment building. This 13-unit property was built in the 1980s. 2-story townhouses, garage parking, great property, but not for you, for somebody else. At this point, you were ready to. I know that when we met, I said, look, I could show you how to sell and expand and buy more, or we could go the total opposite direction, sell and get into something that has little to no management and just cash flow. And it sounded like your main concern was income and retirement, not necessarily holding on to property.
Correct. It just, I went to college for something else. I didn't go to school to be in property management and be into real estate, but I did it, to help my mother and my father. But it was to the point when you gave the option of, well, do you want to buy or do you want to not manage? Do you want to do something else? And I go, I'd rather do something else. I didn't know that was the option. And that was great that you offered that option. Because I didn't know. Yeah. Really, I didn't.
And while many investors are unaware, they literally think, well, I either sell and have this huge tax bite, or I just grit my teeth and continue to do what I'm doing. And literally, I have some clients who say, Chris, we'd like to go on vacation more, but we can't because we're afraid of getting a phone call from one of the tenants, or all these number of things that they like to do. But their properties hold them down. And that probably is reflective of their management style, not necessarily just because they own apartments. But like you said, you had done it, you had your experience, you were helpful with the family, but just came to a point where it wasn't for you. And probably 2 decades ago, it probably would have been more manageable. But now with all the changes in the legalities and rent control, Baldwin Park has its own version of rent control. That just wasn't, it didn't sound appetizing.
No, not at all. It just came down to the point where I have to.
Sounds like DST, Delaware Statutory Trust, is the direction that you're leaning. You've met with Warren Thomas of JRW, who I have no affiliation with, other than when it comes to a DST, I believe in the product that he sells. I believe in just who he is and his company and the way they do business. Tell me what that's been like. So that's totally different than apartments. I know that you've met with Warren at his offices. He's explained the product type to you. How do you see the differences and the benefits and why you're looking in that direction?
Met with Warren, stand-up guy. I mean, he's great. He explained it. It was more of a crash course on what DSTs are and just understanding that this is how our money can work for us in this venture. And it's just been, it's kind of unbelievable that I can invest in this way in the DST and still come and support my family.
So those of you who may be unfamiliar with the DST, essentially, but if you're familiar with triple net properties, it affords an investor the opportunity to invest into a triple net property, say like your Home Depots or your John Deere Tractor Centers or Dollar Generals and these sorts of things. You yourself are not dealing with the tenant yourself. A DST company essentially stands in the middle. They coordinate all that there is to be coordinated in terms of the purchase, management, and so forth. And you literally just receive a monthly disbursement. You do own real estate. You own a fractional ownership of multiple locations alongside other investors. But to Esther's point, she was looking for cash flow in her retirement years, no management, just lifestyle, if you will. And of course, apartments are the most management intensive type of properties to own when you compare it against single family rentals or warehouse or retail. Multifamily definitely is the most time consuming. DSTs, there's no time at all because again, you literally are receiving a monthly check. So while I'm glad that what I initially shared as an idea has worked out, it fits what you're looking to do. And, we look to be by your side as you go through this transition in the coming days, but we know with Warren, you're in good hands.
Yes.
If you wouldn't mind sharing why choose the apartment dealer and just what was your experience now having gone, full circle with the sale?
My mom telling me, she had gotten off the phone with you. She's like, oh, Chris German called me. I don't know who that is. And then she would show me the flyers, the circulars that would come through. And she goes, look at all he does. Oh, okay, great. But, it just didn't click, We never thought we were going to ever sell. I thought we were just staying in those apartments. And then when time was coming that we knew we were going to sell, that was the only name I could think of was Chris German, because that was my mom's, your circulars that come through. And I called you and, you just, when you said like, we're starting this, we took off. You took off. I didn't even do anything. I just was like, okay. Everything was getting done so quickly with you. And that was really good. I mean, we didn't have to wait. Things just went fast. And now it was just, okay, now we've got offers. Wow, already? So that's how it happened. My mom.
The final end of the story is we ended up selling the property for $155,000 above the list price. And in this market, at least right now, most sellers are having to wheel and deal and cut price and negotiate. But we ended up with, I think, 7 or 8 offers that we were working with at the time. You kind of stood back. We let the buyers fight it out. And at the end of that, $150,000 more dollars added to the nest egg. And so we were definitely happy with those results. And and I hope you're happy with them as well.
Yes, very happy.
Excellent. Well, thank you again, Esther. Thank you for sharing with us. I know this might be a little bit intimidating, but it's helpful to the investors.
Yeah, I understand. That's why I wanted to do this.
Thank you.